Hello, Insomniacs. It is Galen, and I'm joined today with Steven. How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
Hey, you ready for this?
I'm ready, man. This is exciting.
It's gonna be pretty crazy. And we're also joined with Jerry. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, everybody.
Again with the Dr. Nick.
What is that a thing?
Welcome to Hello Insomnia. We are doing a podcast today on some pretty crazy stuff. Today's case is going to be dealing with one of America's most infamous cold cases, which still is not solved to this day. It was kept secret for about almost 4 decades, 38 years to be exact, before the story kind of was told and kind of came out and really made the limelight. And people were like, what the heck is going on over here, guys? It's a story of a man from the age 13 to about age 50 who was arrested for 53 felonies and only lost one in court, which led to a community taking action because this man, was labeled the town bully. And he had an extensive little background. Not he had an extensive background, I should say, that definitely justified, I feel like, some actions. But we'll get into that. And it's kind of a tale of what you would hear in like an old Western movie, like, or just an old Western tale. And it's kind of funny because they say that three can keep a secret if two of them are dead. Well, with this town in mind in this story, after we tell it, maybe you'll reconsider that saying. So today we are talking about the murder of Ken Rex McElroy. So, have you guys heard anything about this story at all?
Very little. I remember hearing something about it.
It made like, social media, like the top little like viral posts that go around, and people start talking about it.
Like a TikTok thing
Um, Kind of in the same in
without the dancing.
yeah. A little bit more murder, a little less
More
dancing.
murder.
Yeah. Steven, you heard anything about this?
I am an avid crime listener or of podcasts, and I have heard a little bit about this. It's been a while since I've actually heard the story though, so I've like 80% of it has gone out of my head. So it'd be good to like get a refreshing course here with our own little spin on it.
We're definitely gonna be diving in deep at this together in a day or so. So bear with me, but I'm gonna do my best to make sure we touch all the bases on this story. So let's do it. We are gonna dive in. This is the murder of Ken Rex McElroy. The location and setting for this story takes place in Skidmore, Missouri. Skidmore is tucked away in the northwest corner of Missouri. It was a dusty town with, dusty small town with a population of about like 440 people. It was known for farming and it was surrounded by cornfields. So, we're talking Ozarks type of living, farm life, kind of just that whole awesome kind of style of living where you're just kind of doing your thing and making your own life and making your own living. This location is 46 miles north of St. Joseph, and I believe it's also near Kansas City. And this location holds a decade old secret. Well, a decade's old secret, I should say. A murder that no one has ever been arrested or charged in connection for. The man who was murdered was a man by the name of Ken Rex McElroy. He was a resident of Skidmore, Missouri. And when this murder took place, it was in the 1980s. And we're going to jump back to when he was born, which was around 1934. So he was born July 1st. He died July 10th. So 1934 was when he was born, and he lived 50 years-ish and died in 1981. he was known to be a town bully in that era of the 1980s when the story took place. And he walked around armed and unafraid to shoot literally anyone, even the police. He was said, he was said to be a big dude. He was about 200.
So he's just
What was that?
the town's jackass.
Yeah,
right?
essentially. He was just like
down.
a bully, did not give two shits. He was a farmer. And he was 270 pounds, 6 feet tall, and had blue eyes with thick black eyebrows. He had a hair trigger of a temper, and he was just known to have a brooding presence. And so not many people took too kindly to him. They weren't his fan. And after we kind of get into it, you'll understand why. But yeah, he was accused of dozens of felonies throughout his life, ranging from like assault, child molestation, statutory rape, arson, animal cruelty, hog and cattle rustling, and burglary. So he was doing a lot of stuff, and illegally, but he was also legally leasing land while doing all that. So he was walking around with thick stack of bills in his pocket. He was known to be that guy who had the money clip looking like it's about to bust in his pocket there. So
oh wow, so this guy's got what is it, like early mob vibes, huh? Like he's the goon for like the mob or something. He's got those vibes.
They'll never catch me, Shane.
yeah. He was said to have some mob connection. Some sources say that. I'll have all the sites, sourced with this if you guys would like to take a look. But yeah, some of the stuff I read definitely said he had some mob connections, or at least he said he did. So there's definitely some mob vibes going on here.
Yeah, I can definitely like as if you went what is it, like you snitched and you had to go under, like not undercover but into hiding, and you just end up, it's just like this guy fucking, I just imagining like a guy with like a New York accent, like, hey, what's the matter with you, shooting at the cops, like,
Hey,
I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm just trying to farm here. I got this corn stock.
Hey, look at this hog, this cattle.
Oh man, yeah, he was definitely doing some stuff. Let's just say that. And it's unclear if the mob connection was 110% real or not, but mob vibes for sure.
Yeah.
You're supposed to keep a low profile.
Oh yeah, but him not so much.
But again, his rap sheet is terrible. This guy was a terrible person. Just off of all those charges that you read off,
Yeah,
this guy was something else, and not in a good way.
No, he definitely has quite the track record, and we're going to dive into it a little bit more so you guys can understand kind of the details behind that track record, to give you a little bit more perspective, I guess, on the views, and just give you an idea of like this guy. But yeah, he was the 15th out of 16 children born to a poor migrant farming couple. And in 8th grade, he gained a bad reputation, is kind of where it started to settle in. And it was all because he was doing cattle rustling and small time thief work. And he was also known to be a womanizer. Yep, 8th grade.
Hey, toots. What's shaking?
Okay, so hold on. Can we pause it quick? Because whenever I hear the term cattle rustler, and this might be offensive to people that are cattle rustlers, but I always just imagine that there's people that are just banging cows.
What?
I know that's completely inaccurate, but like in my head, for some reason, you say he's a cattle rustler, right? I'm just thinking that this guy is going around fucking cows in the 8th grade.
It is considered animal abuse still. Yep. Falls under that.
I know that's not what cattle wrestling is. I know it's supposed to be a profession and shit like that, but I'm just imagining that this guy is like just stealing cows to try to bang them, and that's horrible.
Yeah. No. Oh my god, that's hilarious. I was not ready for that at all.
All right. And also 15 out of 16 children.
Oh yeah.
family's just
Big
like
family.
cold in the winter, just
Dude,
porking them out.
yeah, and they're like, farming couples, so it's like, they're not living the lavish lifestyle for this time era.
Oh
They're just
man,
doing their thing.
It's like 16 straight years they were banging.
Oh yeah. Oh, they did
yeah.
not stop. It's like, congrats on the sex, but my lord.
Jeez, it's like a Stargate. The children just walking out of it. It's a portal. Good Lord.
Hey, yo, mom, what's good?
Oh.
I mean, good for them and the hypersexual
Yeah, you
relationship.
got
Yeah,
it. You did
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but
16
ooh, that's
kids.
expensive.
Hopefully they weren't all as bad as this dude, though.
And out of 16, he's the dickhead.
Yeah.
Yep, this was the one that by eighth grade had started pretty bad. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's around puberty time. Yeah.
yep. And then so by eighth grade he was doing all that, and he decided by 15 years old he dropped out of school. He's like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm dropping out of school. So around that time he was suspected of running at least a 2-year theft operation that focused on grain, gasoline, alcohol, antiques, and livestock. Now, he was indicted 21 times and escaped each time around this time when he was doing all this stuff. It was said he was charged of a crime at least 3 times a year. So,
Jeez.
yeah, he was doing a lot and getting caught up and charged and escaping all of the charges a lot. So, there was always witnesses too, but they would refuse to testify against him because he would try like intimidating them by either following them, parking outside their houses, watching them, and shooting guns off in front of their houses. It was said that most jurors were scared to even let a case go to trial because they would open up the mailbox and be, scared to find a rattlesnake in there or something like that. So this
Damn.
guy was doing everything he could to make sure, you're not getting me. You know, and so this guy fathered more than 10 kids with different women. So came from a big family, made a big family. He was known to walk around with money, 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 and he met his last wife, Trina McLeod, when he was actually 12 years old. He wanted to marry Trina, but her parents did not like this idea at all, obviously.
Yeah, she's a fucking 12-year-old.
One, yeah, 12 years old. Two, this guy is just like, what?
He's just a shithead.
And so at this point, it gets a little grim. He, I guess, ended up raping Trina repeatedly, burned her house down, shot her family dog, all to get her parents to agree to their marriage when he wanted to get married.
Jesus.
And so what's even more scary is when officials asked about the fire and people asked about the fire at the house, well, Trina said it was just faulty wiring. So, yeah,
Wow.
Trina became pregnant at 14, dropping out in the ninth grade. And they lived together with McElroy's second wife, Alice. Now, the timelines for the marriages kind of overlap. So some of these marriages, well, I mean, by the given, aren't really real. But anyways, McElroy divorced Alice and married Trina to get away from any charges of statutory rape. And 16 days after Trina gave birth to their first child, Alice and her ran away to Trina's mother's and stepfather's house, where McElroy tracked them down, brought them back, returned to Trina's parents' house where they were away, when they were away, and did exactly as he did before, again burning down the house and shooting the family dog.
Jeez.
So not once, twice he's done this now.
Wow.
To the same person's family.
Yep. Mhm.
Because this is for Trina, right?
Yes, the third
Okay,
wife
yeah.
there.
So, God
And then
damn, this
there's
dude's
this dude's wacko. There's pictures too. I've linked for you guys. I sent them over to you guys, and I think it's either the second link it was that I sent over, but that's all the pictures, and in there you'll find pictures of Trina. There's two women in one of them, and one of those ladies, I believe, is Trina. It's, I think, the lighter haired lady. And then there's other pictures in there as well as for of like McElroy, so you guys can kind of get a picture of who he was around the time he was murdered. So jumping into 1976, this is kind of where things started to snowball, and the town really started to feel the presence, let's sort of speak, of McElroy, and things kind of became a little more intense and concentrated to the point of overflowing for the town. So in July of 1976, McElroy pulled a shotgun on a farmer named Romaine Henry. And this was due to Henry was chasing McElroy off his private land, and he was just trying to get people off, his farm essentially. And McElroy pulled out the shotgun and shot the man in the stomach. Private land, dude, just trying to be like, hey, get off, this is my land. And of course, gets shot. Henry survived, and McElroy was charged with assault with intent to kill. Upon trial, numerous witnesses testified they were hunting with McElroy, and he was nowhere near the scene of the crime that day. And, well, McElroy was not found guilty. It was said, or at least hinted upon, they were, bullied or intimidated into doing this. So, where you guys head so far? What you guys thinking?
I, I I'm just like in shock that he burned his wife's family's home down twice, fought parents' home, and then shot their dog twice.
He's a shithead.
Right.
This guy's just a piece of work. And then I could see him
Yeah.
over here getting chased off of another guy's farm because he's probably over there trying to bang the cows, cattle wrestling. You know what I mean? Like this guy, get off my land! Like, and then he knew too much, and so he shot the other guy.
Oh man, we're totally getting emails about this
Yeah,
episode.
because you have sexy cows on your land.
Sorry to all the cattle wrestlers, but this guy is giving you guys a bad name.
McElroy, not doing anyone any justice. Maybe that's why the town did what they did. So we are now jumping to 1980, 1 year before the slaying of McElroy. So 1980, one of McElroy's kids got into an argument with a clerk in a grocery store because the clerk just asked, hey, would you mind putting that candy back that you didn't pay for? You can't just, can't take the candy. So if you could pay for that, that'd be great. Just saying it nicely, politely, Well, this created an altercation, a verbal altercation, I should say. And the owner, Bowenkamp, and Lois, who were the elderly couple that owned the grocery store, Bowenkamp allegedly, was like, hey, what's going on here? And got involved, as a manager would in a altercation that takes place in their business. And Bo tried to explain, hey, that was never like your kid was never actually accused. We never accused the kid of stealing. That was just, something you didn't do in that time period, according to ex-workers of the store who were alive to, provide information when this story was floating around. It was just, I guess, in that time period, that was something you didn't do. You didn't accuse people of stealing, since it was, that time and era and such a low, population of the town. So it makes sense, like, that just wasn't something, I guess, that happened all too frequently. So you didn't really accuse people of it. And it just was like a bad look on both parties. So that was kind of like, the explanation behind why Bo was like, we weren't accusing your kid. So at this point, McElroy then accused Bo of saying, hey, are you calling my daughter a liar? So you're saying she's lying now, insisting she's a liar? And that just kind of sparked the whole fuse for, McElroy, was him saying, now my daughter's a liar. So After this, McElroy began stalking the Bo and his family, showing up at night, parking out front, shooting guns into the trees in the front of their house, and having Trina just watch them out front. So typically doing the same thing that he would do with anyone who tried to juror against him and go on any jury to pretty much bring him down. So Bo one day was sitting behind his store waiting for a plumber to show on his, he was sitting on his little loading bay, and here comes McElroy driving up and, confronts Bo behind his store. Well, it got so heated that I guess McElroy pulled out a shotgun and he shot Bo in the neck. He had used a deer
Oh,
slug type of ammunition, and the slug that was shot came 3 inches from Bo's head.
Mm.
Luckily, Bo survived and McElroy was arrested. So yeah, he straight up just kind of shot him, tried to kill him, but missed his head, got him in the neck, and Bo survived. Yeah, I wasn't familiar. I'm not familiar with like guns and ammunition and stuff. So I was curious if you guys knew what the ammunition a
Jeez.
deer slug was, or why it was like significant. They reported that.
Well, most like shotguns are like pellets. A slug is just one large wad of like
yeah.
lead.
So according to Google, a deer slug is basically a bullet for a shotgun. Slugs are solid, single projectile bullets that, while fired, not having the spread of a shot to strike the target with much greater force, delivering a deeper wound channels, and the slugs are generally used for medium-sized game, especially white-tailed deer in similar size.
Jeez. Okay, so that's like a heavy duty kind of ammunition to bring down your kill.
It's
Okay.
like it's like something the size of my thumb that's a
Damn.
projectile going straight for you.
If any of you guys knew Jerry, you'd understand how big that's a big
That's
bullet, you guys.
there's a big thumb right there.
Yeah, so you know a shotgun shell, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
like, imagine that, but it's a bullet size. Yeah, it just like in the shell, it's got like a bullet inside it. That's what it looks like, at least in the picture, and then from what I read.
Okay.
So I imagine the projectile shoots out of the shell, um, basically, so you can get the game. But they do look bigger in size than like your like standard like 9 millimeter bullet.
Interesting. Okay. Well, good to know. Because, yeah, I was reading this. I was like, I'm curious about that. But let's jump back in. We have going back to the shooting. Luckily, Bo survived and McElroy was arrested. Now, this was not unusual for McElroy to be arrested. And it's just another, part of the routine he casually found himself in. Like I said, he, was always getting arrested. He was arrested from, 13 to 15 years of age. He was doing crime, arrested for 53 felonies. So that's
Yeah.
But if he got away with all that, it would get to his head like he's untouchable. Like whatever I could do, whatever the fuck I could do in this town.
and that's why like even the police in town were scared of him because he would shoot them. He did not give two craps. Like it was his town essentially.
How do you get away with that? You're shooting at cops and like he just intimidates everybody.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, after Bo survived this shooting, McElroy, of course, was charged with attempted murder, and he was convicted. And at trial, he was convicted of assault, I should say, and freed on bail pending his appeal. So at this time, he, made bail, and since he was loaded with cash, and Trina was like his ride or die, they got it all figured out, sorted away, and he's now walking the streets on bail. So at this point, now the Bone Camps had to live in fear because, well, Bo just got shot in the neck by this dude because, this whole argument that he tried to calmly explain, hey, this wasn't the case. And now he's shot in the neck. So they're living in fear. They had to sleep in shifts, it was said. Friends and family always kept an eye on the street for them. And they were so scared they even developed a system of informants using young children in town to run errands, that they were actually like running telegraphs of urgent messages, pretty much just like a secret message system they had going on so they could keep safe and like get messages out in case, McElroy was near in town, uh, on a rampage or just whatever it was. So they had like a little system set up.
The amount of torment this guy inflicted on this town is ridiculous, dude. Like they're so in fear they made a damn like system to a warning system for people just for this guy.
Yeah, just for that one guy.
He's his own hurricane. You know what I mean? Like, and this is happening in the 80s. Like
Yeah.
in my head too, like headcanon, I'm thinking like it's the 50s or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, given it's a small town, they're in Mayberry, basically the 50s.
Yeah, because like right now we're just now getting into the 80s of the story. So yeah, we're about to get into 81 right now. We just got done with 1980. So yeah, now we're starting to get into like the deep of the story right here. And essentially, after a while being on bail, McElroy went to this local bar called D&G Tavern. That was a local little tavern, there in town. And he was armed with a M1 Garand rifle that had a bayonet attached to it post hearing, like after a post trial hearing. And
Wow.
if for anyone who doesn't know, that's a semi-automatic rifle used in like the U.S. services
Oh,
during like a World War II.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and in Korean
It's the
War.
M1
So
Grand,
yeah, yeah,
the one that
grand.
makes
There
the
it
like
is. Yeah, yeah,
sound every time
yeah.
you reload it.
The World War
Yeah.
II gun.
Yes. So
Yeah.
this one I did the research on because I was like, this seems kind of like important to the story. So I kind of wanted to make sure I just hit wiki for sure up on this one. But yeah, essentially the World War II gun, I like the that used by the U.S. and in the Korean War as well. And it was called like one of the greatest battle implements ever devised. It replaced the bolt action rifle or the bolt action system as the U.S. service rifle in 1936, which was later replaced by the selective fire rifle in 1958. But yeah, this was like I guess a pretty technological advancement for like rifles in that era of time.
Yeah, because they came from the bolt action to this that actually had a clip that slides in, and it
Loads
had,
what, like 5 bullets?
yeah, and it you could just fire away, and then they had to stop using this because like once you ran out of ammo and ejected, that little piece of metal flings out and it causes a ping sound, so your enemies will know exactly where you are when you're reloading.
Oh shit.
That's like
Okay.
that's why they were like, we got to find something new. And
The technology advancement is on par with like going from using, single shot like little like muskets
the
to
black
the
black powder.
revolver, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's how that much of an advancement that is.
So with McElroy there at the bar, and he brought the gun there with the bayonet. He was heard and seen making graphic threats about pretty much how he was going to finish off Bo and his family. So this kind of was pretty much one of the icing, that pretty much the icing on the cake. And so it was towards the end of 1980. So now we're getting into 81, where Bo, or not Bo, excuse me, McElroy was still kind of roaming free, doing his thing. And I think he did end up spending like 2 years in prison or jail or something, or like 2 months or something like that for one. I think it was that last crime, but then he got out and it was just like done deal. So come 1981, everyone's pissed the fuck off. They're not happy. Bo's not getting any, time or anything, put onto his life to make the situation, actually fit the crime. He's just kind of like working the system in and out, done, and everyone's pissed, rightfully so. I would be pissed too if I were them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that Bowen camps, they must have like this must have been hell for them. Like just worried that this guy, this psychopath's just gonna show up and start shooting at your house.
Right? It was like
Yeah.
it had to be really bad. I can't imagine living in that fear. And like, I can barely go to sleep at night when I just have like the smallest of anxiety. Like I didn't do something at work or I missed an email. I'm like, oh.
And you just had this one guy roaming around your town.
Literally parked outside your house, like at some points, shooting guns into your trees right next to your window. It's a whole nother level of just crazy. But so we're hopping into the morning of July 10th, 1981. Several patrons of the town of Skidmore, they've had enough of all this, and they formed in the Legion Hall to discuss what to do with the Nottoway County Sheriff. They were like, yo, look, we want to figure out how, one, we can protect ourselves, and two, what we can do about this situation because we've had enough. We're over it. We've been living in fear. We're not doing this anymore. It's done. We're done. We're tired. Like, no more. This ends now. And, well, the sheriff said, maybe you guys should come up with neighborhood watch. Let's do a neighborhood watch. Maybe that might be the best course of action. So just think about that real quick before we move on. Like the sheriff.
But that's not even a good solution. You already have a damn alarm system with these children running messages.
When I read that, my mind just kind of like stopped computing real quick and like blue screened on me. It's crazy to me.
It's not a solution at all because it's like, your neighbors are just gonna watch this guy kill the
Right?
Bowen
It
camps?
kind of,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it kind of feels like the sheriff just doesn't give a shit.
Like, come
Yeah.
on, Andy Griffin, fucking do something with this guy.
Come up with a neighborhood watch.
Yeah, because they had Chief Wiggum as their freaking
But yeah,
sheriff.
basically, yeah.
So while this meeting's happening, lo and behold, guess who comes driving into town, to the bar, to the tavern next to Legion Hall, which is just a couple blocks away.
McFuckface, huh?
Yes, Mick Fuckface comes driving up to get him and his wife come driving up, and they've come to get their morning buzz on. They want to begin their morning drinking at the bar. So they get information of this at the Legion Hall where, the 60 people are there like, hey, we want to end this shit. What do we do? And so, townspeople get wind of this, and sheriff's like, hey, don't get in an altercation. Don't do a direct confrontation. And, think about, what I advise you guys to do. And he drove out of there.
He got the fuck out of Dodge.
He knew what was going to
He
happen.
knew shit was about to go down. That's exactly what he did.
On that idea, some speculate that, yeah, that's the speculation. A lot of people are like, that's interesting. Like, kind of seems like the sheriffs just wanted this to happen as much as the townspeople did too. And so as the sheriff drove off, McElroy was finishing his drinks,
He's like,
and
don't do anything bad. I'll be leaving the town. I hope none of y'all do anything illegal while I'm away, because I am leaving for about 2 hours exactly from now.
yep, essentially, just he walks out, he yells back in, I'm putting the keys in the ignition. I am not turning it. So yeah. And so he drives off, and the people make their way to the tavern where, Trina and McElroy are finishing up their drinks, and it is said that the bar filled up to capacity as everyone just watched him finish his drinks. And at that point, he purchased a 6-pack, got up, and went out to his pickup truck. He entered his pickup truck, and as he was doing so, more than 50 people shifted from inside to outside in mass to just kind of stare down his car. Now, that's just from the bar. Those people came out from the bar, and here it is said there's, kind of a lot of different sources and numbers at this moment in play or sources reporting different numbers here in play. And so I'm going to kind of go with the best I can, but keep in mind this is kind of like an average when I'm talking about the numbers here, because so many different sources kind of reported different numbers. So I'm just kind of make it easy for everyone. So as to give you a layout of kind of where this is taking place, when you are kind of going down Main Street of where this area is located, the bar is on the right hand side, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong, but I believe it was on the right hand side. And when you first walk in, there's like the front of the bar is right there, and then you park the cars along the left side of the entrance. So when he got out like of the bar, he went right, turned to take another right, got into the driver's side of the truck, and was facing towards the like tavernish, so he couldn't see behind him. As he was sitting in his car, he was lighting a cigarette with his head kind of down, kind of getting ready to go. And the townspeople, is said to, different sources reported different numbers, but it is said to at least be 90 people were present at the location,
Jeez,
surrounding
that's a
his
lot of
car
people.
when this took place. And 50 of those people for sure came out of the bar, at least. And so it was quiet as they kind of just stared at his truck. And the truck that was in play, it was one of those trucks that had a glass kind of like a window behind the passenger and the driver of the truck. So you can see through it and you can see who's sitting there. So you can kind of get a clear, shot of like, or just clear view, clear vantage point, however you want to word it, of who is in there. Yeah. And so it was quiet for a second, and then all of a sudden, shots fired out. Some people hit the ground. Some people just were part of the firing, and some people just kind of were there, but saw what happened and turned their heads to be like, "Oh, dang." So when the shots fired, it was said and reported to just be quick pop, 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 pop. It started with one, and then just a whole bunch just popped right in. Um, when the gunfire settled, McElroy was dead behind the wheel of the truck due to two of the bullets hitting their target, which was McElroy. One of the bullets was the kill shot, and it struck him in the back of his head. There was now a visible, I think it was like what is that? It's like when the coin is the dollar or whatever. It was like one of those, the size of that,
Oh shit.
in the back of his skull. When this whole situation was happening, Trina jumped out of the passenger's side while the gunfire was happening. And it was, I think, either reported she jumped out or she managed to just kind of get out either during or after the gunfire. Mind you, most of the gunfire was aimed at McElroy and not Trina. And essentially, two men grabbed her and hustled her away to a nearby bank, away from the gunfire and away from the scene. So she didn't get injured, and she didn't, just wasn't as present as they were gonna let her be. I guess, I don't know, because like some reports say that she was there for the whole incident, and then she kind of like got out and was hustled away after. But then some sources report that it was during the whole gunfire that it kind of was like one whole jump, grab, go. You know. Um, so I'm gonna post a link for you guys, and this is a kind of like a montage I put together of some of the photos I saw. That's kind of the truck. There's some blood in there, mind you, so beware. A picture of McElroy, his truck in the lower left, which is an actual picture of him still in there. I made sure to scribble it out, but you could see the truck on the driver's side there. The window is just shattered out. On the passengers, or not passenger side, but the driver's side, there's blood everywhere. The driver's side window absolutely shattered, where the passenger side back window, it's the back like mirror I was talking about, is not damaged at all. So you can see that it was just straight for McElroy. They were really gunning for him, and that was their target.
Yeah, his driver's side is tatted up with gunshot wounds or bullet wounds.
And then you notice like the passenger side is just kind of a okay, like what I'm saying. So it was
Yeah,
obvious, kind of
they
the
wanted this
situation.
guy dead.
Yeah. And so the two guns identified for the connected bullets that were the two fatal, like for sure shots, were from an 8 millimeter Mauser German World War I era center fire
Yeah. Oh,
rifle.
the it's yeah Mauser.
Yeah,
Everybody just walking around with these old ass guns.
right. And then the other gun was a 22 rimfire rifle. I'm not sure about where that one. What's up with that one, Jerry? Do you know anything about that? What kind of, or Steven, do you guys know anything about the 22 rimfire rifle?
Just a 22. It shoots a small round.
Isn't that like for hunting small game?
Yeah, like squirrels, and they're
Oh
mostly
wow.
like if it's for a rifle, it's mostly like a varmint rifle.
Okay.
Vermin.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, that's what a 22 is.
I
It's
believe that the Mauser is oh god, I want to say it's like a handgun, right? Like a
I think so.
semi-automatic.
8 millimeter.
Oh no, no, no. This is a rifle.
Oh yeah, center fire rifle. Yeah. My bad.
No,
I
no, no,
don't
you're
know. I
good.
don't know
I
guns at
misunderstood.
all. That's the thing.
No.
I play Overwatch, so I don't know guns.
It's like these aren't turrets. What
Right?
are these?
This is an
Yeah.
assembly.
Okay. No, no, no. I was thinking of a handgun, but yeah, no, that's another rifle. So they really, really wanted this guy. They wanted those bullets to penetrate through that truck or wherever he was gonna be.
not the guy with the 22.
I mean, if you bust through those windows with this Mauser, that 22 bullets are going somewhere.
The 22 it'll get inside you, but it won't go through you. It'll just like that thing will just like bounce around in your body. It's pretty dangerous.
Jesus. Well, those two guns that actually, did the two fatal shots, they were never recovered. So they never found the two murder weapons that were the prime like kill shots. The main one being the head, the skull shot, which I imagine probably came from that Mauser, by the sounds of it, of when we're talking about guns. So um, here is another number I'm going to throw out. But mind you, different sources kind of, is like one or two numbers off. But for the most part, there is said to be at least up to 46 potential witnesses to the shooting, including Trina McElroy, who, again, was in the truck with her husband during the shooting for at least a little bit of it. And after the shooting happened, no ambulance was called. Only Trina tried to claim to identify a gunman, and she said it was a local man by the name of Dale Clement. But she was like the only one who was trying to do anything about this afterwards. People literally just went home. And when the troopers arrived back in town, they said it was quiet, it was empty, and the only thing that was making noise on the main strip was McElroy's truck. The engine was smoking and still running full bore because his foot was still on the accelerator, and no one even bothered to return off the truck or, even deal with the truck. They're just like, job done, later.
Now we can have dinner, guys.
When the troopers arrive back in town, this is what they come back to. The main strip is only making noise because, well, McElroy is dead and his car is going hardcore nowhere. And so essentially every other witness either was unable to name an assailant or claim not to see the person in which was, in charge or responsible for firing that kill shot. Investigations were done and they led to nothing, and the DA declined to press any charges. So it was never, solved. There's no connection to the murder, like who actually was the two people who did those two kill shots, who made sure he was dead, and one particularly the skull shot, and then the other, well, I think it was like on either the face or the neck or something along those lines. But post shooting stuff, Trina filed a $5 million wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Skidmore. The county of Nodaway, I hope I'm saying that right. Sheriff Danny Estes, who was the sheriff that was the one that was at the meeting and then drove away.
Oh, the one that was like, "Bye, guys. Don't do anything illegal. I'm
Yeah, that
gone."
that dude.
Oh my god, what happened here? I just left for 15 minutes.
Yeah. They also the lawsuit included Steve Peters, who was the mayor of Skidmore, and then also Dale Clement, who was claimed to be the accused shooter but was never actually charged. Now that case was settled out of court by all parties for $17,000 or $17,600, with no one admitting guilt. So for that time, not that's a nice little chunk of change that'll get you somewhere back in the 80s. But gotta say that's it started off at 5 million, but good on them.
That was bad negotiation on Trina's part. No offense.
Trina then moved to live in St. Joseph, which was the town or place we named earlier in the beginning, and this was in Missouri as well. And she lived there until her 55th birthday, where she passed away from cancer in January of 2012. Now, Dale Clement died of cirrhosis of the liver in 2009 and never had a deathbed confession or anything like that. But in a memorial tribute to him by someone, they stated he was a good, brave man, which people have looked at, web sleuths, mind you, have looked at and like, that's interesting that those were the words chosen for his tribute. And some speculate it, goes back to him being the actual shooter. Um,
Dang. They didn't die like that was like recent. 2009, 2012. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. This is all in the last like couple of decades. These people, because this is only in the
Yeah,
80s,
dang.
man. So this,
Yeah, it's not that
so
long ago.
I know. I keep thinking like
yeah.
it's older, but no.
It's 40 years.
Oh man. Yeah. And this case inspired media, there's a book called In Broad Daylight, which is I did provide an image in the folder I got together for you guys there. And it also inspired a 1991 TV movie that was named under the same title. And this case is kind of compared to modern day gang shootings that occur at night in a dark area or just in general on our everyday news. And I was curious what you guys thought about that, because this was something I didn't think about until it was brought up at the end of one of the sources I went to, and they're like, hey, let's talk about this and think about this and like nowadays kind of thing. Because this case was handled in a way that a lot of modern day gang shootings are handled, that or just shootings in general, where it's like, hey, it was a dark place, no one could see anything, or no one wants to say anything. But I was curious to see what you guys thought about that and kind of how it tied into like current times of like shootings and stuff, and how some of the investigations are handled with those types of situations. So what do you guys think?
This to me, I don't think it is like a modern day gang shooting. This was like uh, grab your pitchfork and torches. We're fucking killing Frankenstein. Like that's what this is. Yeah, like they set out on a mission to. Well, this is allegedly. This all sounds like what I mean. They were like, no, we're getting this guy. We're dead. We're sick of his shit. He's got a terrible
Yeah.
rap sheet,
We're burning the witch.
raping cows,
Raping cows.
and
They had a town meeting.
we're done with his antics, and they delivered. And then I think like the sheriffs and stuff, they probably did just turn a blind eye, because they probably, if they're getting shot at by this same dude, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Yeah, he had to go. This is like the one case where you don't sympathize with the victim.
They were all in it.
You sympathize with the
Yeah.
suspects, if that makes sense. I mean, what they did, I'm not saying it's morally right, because it's still murder, but at the same time, this guy was a piece of shit.
100%. And there's actual quotes from people who were there. I got two here, and I'm just gonna read them real quick, and then I want to hear what you have to say, Jerry.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of the thoughts. But these two quotes are legit from either one is from the Bone Camp's daughter, and the other is from a Skidmore farmer who was alive during that time. And Kirby Gosley, who was the Skidmore farmer, he literally said, "Our law enforcement never went after him very hard. The son of a bitch would just as soon shoot them as anyone else." And the Bone Camp's daughter, Joyce Monty, said, "It was not the kind of justice they should have gotten. We stood up and did the right thing. We went to the police, we went to the courts, we went everywhere we could. But justice would stay delicately out of the way. Looking back, the justice system had as much to do with the killing of Ken McElroy as anyone in Skidmore did."
Damn.
Mm,
That kind of
yeah,
just puts it in perspective. Where it's like, yeah, they did their own
Hmm.
Western
yeah.
justice.
We
They
did it.
Yeah.
killed
And
him.
that's kind of why I wanted to leave the quotes at the end, because after, that little statement of, the shootings, how one source tried to tie it back to today, I wanted to kind of throw that in there, but also end it with that quote. So, it kind of, it does, it goes with both sides and like has that, I guess polarity, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, it's impact. Like it's got its impact. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Oh God, like that's insane. This whole case is like it's crazy because it's
Yeah,
one of a
you can't.
it's almost one of a kind.
Something that happens in the '80s too. So it's like, yeah. So
And everything, of course, is alleged. Like I'm making my jokes about this guy banging cows and stuff, but like, I mean, he wasn't a good man, but
Not one
it's
bit.
still murder, and it's a whole
hey,
town just committed a crime.
hey, what are you gonna
Allegedly,
do? Yeah, you gonna arrest the whole town?
you
Right?
can't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's you don't know. It's that thing where it's like if you
and
can't
Oh, man.
100% say it's this person that did it, you got no case.
you question everybody, they're gonna be like, I don't know,
Nobody's
I
gonna
don't know.
testify. You
All
Yeah.
right,
I
Yeah,
mean,
this
there's no snitching in this
Old
town.
West justice here.
straight up, it kind of has the essence of, like I said,
Who
like that
who did
old
it?
Western kind of like vibe. It's like an old Western tale in a sorts, because it's like, the sheriff couldn't do anything, Popo couldn't do anything. And the town was like, "Don't worry, we got it." That's all you had to say.
Yeah, we'll take matters into our own hands. All right,
And they
Oh,
did.
yeah. They did
just
They
indeed.
did.
Well, do you guys have anything else you would like to add in before we end the episode today?
Uh Great job, man. Good job on
Thank you.
this.
Thank you.
This is a
yeah,
good one.
and good job to the people of Skidmore.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, man. Just
Hey,
yeah, that was a good episode,
thank
man.
you.
That's
Thank
a good
you.
episode.
They definitely did what they had to do. And in my opinion, I'm definitely all for what they did. Skidmore, you guys, you go hard, and I
I
represent,
bet
man.
af-
Props, props. That's all I gotta say.
after that day, everybody slept very peacefully.
Oh,
The
100%.
whole town.
Imagine the
The whole
Bowen
town.
camps, or however you say your name. I hope I'm not butchering it. Imagine that family, not having to live the way they
Yeah, they
did.
didn't have to look out the
Yeah,
window
have kids
every
run
5
secret
minutes.
messages for them, and like that's just it's just wild to think like this happened in the 1980s. Again, the 1980s.
It probably felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, yep, this town is way better without this guy now. And I bet after that, the crime rate has been so low. Nobody dares to do anything in that town because everybody was like, "Hey, all right, town meeting. Let's get this guy now."
It makes
Oh,
sense why Doan was stealing shit.
Hey, what if this just like started a whole thing where like now this town they still just take care
Some
of their own
vigilante
justice
shit.
and we just don't hear about it. Like they just go around killing all the people that cause problems in the town now and just don't say shit because everybody's in on it.
Oh man, awesome. Well, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Hello Insomnia today. Please make sure you hit us up on Instagram and Twitter so you can get the latest notifications. And, we always like to interact with you guys there and try and get new information on like stories and new stories we can do. So we do have those going on. Hello Insomnia _ for Twitter, and then Hello Insomnia Podcast on Instagram. And then, anything else you guys want to add in before we head out?
Yeah. Remember to like and share, spread the word around.
Yeah. Send us some hit us up on Twitter. Tell us what cases you want us to check out. That's some mystery cases. They're just weird stuff. We like talking about.
Yeah. And thank you guys so much for all the support we've received thus far. We really appreciate it. You guys keep this going. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's case. Much love. And later from the podcast team here at Hello Insomnia. Later, guys.
Good night.
Peace.